Hi everyone, apologies for my voice, it's the last night's gala. So welcome to Entertainment and Marketing Workshop. My name is Anna Frankoswka and I'm Head of Growth and Business Development for Pixby. And for the purpose of this workshop, I'm going to purely focus on B2C technologies, which is like social networks, marketplaces, or fintechs for consumers. And I came up with this topic, which is the Bitcoin network effect and blockchain adoption rates, because as an ex-founder of a social media marketplace, I was really excited about the potential of blockchain technology for platforms like social media marketplaces, social networks. But then, and there were so many promises made in 2017, 2018 by many companies that done ICOs. But in fact, as we all know, the adoption rates are really, really low. So I would love to go through where's the Web 2 right now in terms of the market trends, what are the challenges with Web 2, what blockchain mechanism is there and what's the promise of blockchain technology, and then what are the issues with the technology and what can be done better in terms of the DApp development. So if we look at the data, the mobile penetration is just incredible, right? It's estimated that in 2018, the internet usage was 79% driven by mobiles, and on average, we spend around 3.1 hours on our phones. I'm pretty sure that at this conference it's double or triple. And in our households, on average, in over 51% families, there are 3 mobile phones. And if we look at some entertainment music giants like YouTube, there's 153 million active users monthly. Apple Music is 52.3 million users on a monthly basis. However, launching a new technologies is really difficult nowadays, right? If you want to create your own mobile app, and because there's a really low loyalty, people quickly switch from one app to another. There's really low interest rates, so marketers estimated that for 10,000 impressions, only 4 people click on the ad, and then that creates a really limited growth for any applications. And because there are some fundamental problems around Web 2, right? So the cost of acquisition of a customer is incredibly high. Even likes of Deliveroo spend millions monthly on acquiring new users. Everyone is bidding on Facebook ads for the attention of a person. Then the user retention is low, which is the moment from when a number of people that stay on the platform from a time they download it, which on the flip side, there's a churn rate, so number of people that drop out from tech. For instance, on a monthly basis, if you look at the media entertainment in Web 2, in the month, there's only 23% of people that stay on the platform. So if you spend 1 million on advertising, only 250K resulted in engaged users, which obviously limits the growth. The other issue is that we live in a free economy, right? So we use Facebook, we use Instagram, we share social media content, like it, endorse, we give our preferences, and actually it's the platforms like Facebook, they monetize, right, on our data, on our behaviors. We don't really actually own our data, right? So, and there's so many privacy issues that we've seen in the past that have been used as well for instance, for political elections. So the blockchain brought a promise of actually helping to reward people and kind of aligned incentives of different stakeholders in the different ecosystems through tokenizations. As Chris Dixon, which is XA16Z, said, token networks align network participants to work together toward a common goal, the growth of the network and the appreciation of the token. And in theory, it's true, the mechanism behind blockchain tokenization is incredible. Blockchain gamification is really much made in heaven in terms of rewarding people for referrals, for sharing, for participating actively in the different networks. It helps to solve a common problem of a chicken and egg, right? So in the marketplace, we have a business, we have a consumers first. There won't be consumers if there's no content, or businesses, there won't be businesses if there are no consumers on the platform. Whilst through tokenizations and aligning these incentives, all stakeholders have real incentives to drive the growth. And ultimately, which the aspect I really love is that we are not the product anymore, right? So we actually can monetize our data and allow platforms to access it depending on our own will. It's not Facebook, for instance, anymore utilizing us and selling to advertisers. And we do have a much better control over content. And through this mechanism, there are more users on the platform. There's more data for the startup founders, their founders, that they can basically analyze, create smarter algorithms, and in the end, create much better products. And there are some incredible use cases already being developed in the space. One of them is Pixby, that I'm head of growth and business development. So basically, we reinvent pocket money, and we help children develop amazing money management habits, like how to save, how to invest, and how to manage money overall. We created our platform, and the device is built on Stellar. We issued our own token, and apart called Wora. And apart from Stellar being really great platform for microfinancing, which is like fast, cheap, cross-border, through the token, we can really decrease, like for instance, customer acquisition cost, through incentivizing people with a token reward for making referrals, engagement, so customers keep them active on the platform and reward them for participation, for playing educational games, through the fact they learn about how to save, how to invest, etc., and retention. So for active participants and holders, there are some incentives like cashbacks or airdrops. Other use case is like marketplaces, social networks overall, where people, through, for instance, sharing content, liking, again, making referrals or spending money, they're again rewarded with the token. So they grow and they can later spend it within the ecosystem. And there's actually a very famous model called SAPS, which is around status, access, power stuff. So tokens enable that within the different platforms. Other use cases in the space, it's Steemit, Sapien, Basic Attention Token, or Keen. I highly encourage you to have a look at them. They have pretty interesting mechanisms, like Steemit is rewarding publishers for sharing content, or Basic Attention, and they're rewarded by actually those who read them or who encourage them. Or the same with Basic Attention Token, it's more of the web platform that people decide which ads they want to see, and they get rewarded as well with the tokens through that. This is all great, but as we know, the adoption is really, really low. And I'm going to show you the next slide, what are the most active DApps. Because in the end, like first, we are in a very competitive market. There are 3.7 million apps already in the Play Store, and there are 2.1 million apps in the Apple Store. And in the end, people don't really care whether it's built on blockchain, Microsoft Azure services, or AWS. They care whether the platform is better, whether it serves my needs, whether it's faster, cheaper, whether it actually answers what I want or what I'm looking for. And obviously, time and attention of people is really scarce, so they need to invest in different platforms. So they take time in terms of exploring and actually being encouraged and staying within different apps. So everyone is fighting for your attention, our attention in the end. Similarly with DApps. So if you look at the DApp data, the most active DApp is ADM with 10.2k users on a daily basis. EOS 9, that is quite popular. Now in our space has only 3.2k active users on a daily basis, so it's really not impressive, to be fair. And there's some issues, right, around how the apps are developed, because in the end it's just a kind of classic startup paradigm of building a product that should be done in a lean way, as per Henrik picture graphic. Many teams end up building products in cave. They will try to make sure it's perfect before the launching. They end up building too many features. They're not being able to pivot, because actually it's around 90%. It's like from what you started to what you delivered in the end. It's totally different from what was the initial vision of the product. You have to test the product really, really early on to make sure like market reacts to it well, and this is what users actually expect. So for instance, with Pixby, we have an excellent product team, and we've tested our platform with thousands and thousands of kids and families to ensure that we really provide top quality education tools for families. And what can be done better, really? So again, it's another paradigm of a startup industry, whether it's Web 2 or Web 3. It's this nice process of building, measuring whether this is something that people want, learning based on the data you collected, and then iterating your product towards finally getting MVP and something that people actually love. So it's from UX UI usability testing, building in a lean manner, to having a right communication of the project you're developing, obviously well-defined marketing plan, so utilizing the right marketing channels, good go-to-market strategy. So the key is to inspire the true customer loyalty. So yeah, blockchain definitely has excellent mechanisms, and the centralization offers the most promising path really to realize plans of plenty of the apps, and we are getting there. But again, the fundamental paradigm of building a great product cannot be forgotten. There are amazing other features that I haven't mentioned of a blockchain technology that I'm really passionate about, like trustless transactions, efficient transfers, immutability, and security of the data, and that we can also see like in more enterprise solutions. So thank you for your attention. I haven't introduced myself at the beginning. I'm an entrepreneur and economist by education. I used to work in investment bank. Platform I developed won the Forbes 30 Under 30 award in European technology, and I joined Pixby because it's just excellent, mission-driven company that is, in my view, really bringing token adoption and mass adoption for the blockchain space. So if you want to get in touch with me or have a conversation, these are my contact details: Telegram Anna Frankowska, Twitter Anna Frankowska, or my email address is anna@pixby.com. Perfect, thank you.
Come stai? Bene. Thank you once again, Anna. Just waiting for 2 more people if they're here. Jean-Philippe? No? Yeah, Jean-Philippe is coming. Do you have a microphone? Does everyone have a microphone? No, we'll pass it on. It's fine, that's cool. So yeah, thank you once again, Anna. That was really interesting, going from Web 2.0 to 3.0 to Pixby. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Pixby, but they have a very interesting concept, and their wallet token is incredible. I would recommend to check it out, actually. So yeah, I want to introduce what we're discussing here with the guys and one girl today. It's nice to promote girls in blockchain. We don't see too many of them. But today we're going to be speaking about Web 2.0 versus Web 3.0. Sorry?
That's not true. Plenty of women in blockchain.
There's plenty of women. We should keep bringing them in. Yeah, so we're going to be discussing Web 2.0 versus Web 3.0. I want to present to you, let's start with Daniele Monteleone, who, let me see if I can get this correct. He is, well, let me give you a short introduction, okay? He's joining us from his suitcase because he travels just as much as I do. It's his second time also in Malta. We met last year. He is MetaLife co-founder or founder. Is that correct? Founder?
Yeah, actually also CTO and Chief Visionary Officer.
Perfect.
Of the project. Yeah.
So for MetaLife was the first agnostic decentralized 3.0 browser, and also developer of blockchain solutions. Then we have Jean-Philippe Beaudet. He's an experienced gaming developer, and Jean-Philippe launched his career in actually Ubisoft, so pretty impressive background. Then we have Dr. Alexandra Mikityuk, who's joining us from Berlin. She heads up the Deutsche Telekom labs, which is one of the biggest development labs in Germany, I believe, or at least in our industry, in our space. And well, it's Deutsche Telekom, so I don't have to give too much of a background on who Deutsche Telekom is. And then last but not least, we have Sergei Khitrov, who's joining us from Russia. His booth is outside. They have a listing platform for blockchain projects, and they've listed over 500 projects so far. And I was like, to pick two, but I don't know if it's, later you'll have to pick two. So a brief introduction into this panel. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Web 2.0, Web 3.0, but basically scientists have been saying that for the past 60 years, artificial intelligence was going to be the future. But artificial intelligence could not have come to today unless it was for the affordable GPU that we have, for the algorithms that we have running, and it's also thanks to blockchain that we have all these more ready available and codable algorithms, or at least solvable algorithms with the power, thanks to the power GPU, and with all the data and education that we have online. So today we're seeing a bigger shift, what was Web 2.0 from before, which I think Anna mentioned it really well. There was the old paradigm, it was more social media, content driven by community, whereas today the Web 3.0 is going to be focused on what they've built and bring it all into a concept together. So today we have experts from across the globe who can give us, I would say, an introduction on Web 2.0, what it is, and then how we're moving to Web 3.0. So I leave the stage to you guys. I mean, what is Web 2.0? What really created Web 2.0?
Well, okay, I can start here. And so there used to be like the 1.0, the old, not much people does remember about Netscape and all these old browser that was modem-based. But then eventually we passed to a new paradigm in which all applications were collecting feedback loop from the user. So we started to learn about people. We started to be able to interact with these applications, create these social media, being able to broadcast ourselves, even if this doesn't belong to us. And now we are moving toward a new paradigm in which the data will learn from itself, will learn from your behavior, will learn from everything that you're doing, not just with your browser activity, not just with your phone. It's going to learn from your driving ability. It's going to learn from everywhere you're going because it includes IoT. And this is one of the great key for artificial intelligence. I come also from a machine learning background, and machine learning is completely dependent on data. Now we are collecting more or less quality data with this 2.0, because 2.0 is still subject to the human bias. We are all voting and telling what we would like to be true, not necessarily what is true. By learning from multiple sources in the data, we're going to start learning more unbiased data, more true data, and this is the key to solving next machine learning challenge.
Daniele, what was the challenge on your end, or that made you shift to Web 3.0? So what do you find on the Web 2.0 that's...
Yeah, I would like to add to the previous description that in the first edition of the Web 1.0, or so-called the web, it was just a transposition of the previous mindset of the traditional mass media. So there were one-way communication. The company has the page where the users could access to the information. And it was a one-way communication, like the previous media conception, TV, papers, newspapers, and radio. So the real, let's say, mass adoption of the web happened with the Web 2, where all the people in the industry understood that the two-way communication was the strength of this technology. It was the real added value of the internet and the web architecture. So the social media era pushed the mass adoption from half, maybe it was 50 million users worldwide to over 2 billion users today. So as he was saying right now, the new challenge will be to push this growth up to trillion of devices that will communicate machine to machine around these new protocols. And so we will have a new internet that will add the two-way communication, also machine-to-machine protocols, and the blockchain technology. What's the word of the blockchain technology? What's the role of the blockchain technology in this evolution? It's a key role because it will enable the asset transaction. So we will not transact data like in the past, but now we will start to transact also value. So this will be the, let's say, the internet of value, not only the internet of data. And more than this, the decentralization technology will allow, as now we have a few, let's say, big .com companies that they control the data, they control this traffic, because the Web 2.0 was, the HTTPS protocol is focused on central service providers that give applications. So we have amazing stuff now, like Google Docs, that allow anyone to run applications remotely, but at the same time give too much power to the data retention companies. So all these big providers of services, they control too much information. With the Web 3.0, we will assist at the decentralization process. So the blockchain technology will enable to get back the data ownership of the users, and at the same time have a better control of the data to profit directly them of their information, and not only few, let's say, oligopolistic companies.
Thanks for the points. I mean, it's very clear that you're mentioning that we're going to have to take the data back from all these big data providers, and this is kind of where the blockchain can really have a strong impact. We have verified users. And one point that you mentioned was the connectivity between devices, and I want to bring this to Alexandra, because you said that you're building in Deutsche Telekom connectivity, a blockchain-based ecosystem which will help the mobility and connectivity of devices. So can you explain a bit more what you're working on and how this will affect?
Sure. I have to switch it on first. Like this, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So I would connect to the discussions that we have before, and I would even argue, because you were talking about two-way communication, and I think we all see in the space that the internet and Web 3.0 is going into the direction of self-sovereignty. However, today, if we think about M2M, we don't have enough logic on the device level in the IoTs. So this is what happened actually with when iPhone came, right? So a lot of logic went to the device itself. So we all talk about IoT, we all talk about M2M, we all talk about self-sovereign communication in two-way communication. And we do believe that maybe there will be a shift where today we say constrained devices, IoT devices, maybe to get to the self-sovereign internet and self-sovereign, how we call them, ecostructures, it's ecosystem infrastructures. Maybe we will need to create first this new IoT devices that will have a lot of logic in it, right?
So more powerful devices, like that are running their own machine learning AI algorithm.
Exactly, and of course, sure, on the way, on this transition, we're going to have the gateways that will talk to sensors, that will talk to constrained devices, and I think that's the infrastructure that we have to provide.
Do you think blockchain is that kind of infrastructure? Like, do you think blockchain has the potential to be the foundation of that infrastructure?
Sure. So coming back to when you were asking what is actually Web 2.0, I think we learned a lot. And I think Web 2.0, it's a lot about the infrastructure. So first, the internet has been built, and it's a lot of infrastructure, right? It's a lot of internet boxes around your houses, and if you think of it, it was a huge infrastructure investment. And then the use cases came on top, and that's, I would argue, was the drive for mass adoption, and the use cases as Facebook, as different social media platforms, they were driven by business models, right? By specific business models of these particular platforms. And then the cloud infrastructure has been built. And so I think that blockchain gives us these unique features where the machines can become autonomous economic agents. They can start trading, they can start acting on our behalf. And this is the missing piece to shift towards the Web 3.0, which will represent multiple ecostructures in different areas.
When it comes to monetization, and maybe this is kind of our closing question and conclusion. So for the blockchain people, or people that want to impact, not only in blockchain, but in general, in the tech industry, that want to monetize, make money off of the Web 3.0, because the Web 2.0 was social media, was driven by ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, so we kind of like completely took advantage of all the things that we could do, the SEO and digital marketing. Whereas Web 3.0, it's what you're saying, we need to give more power, more power to this infrastructure. We need to create smaller devices that can power themselves to do this whole IoT, smart device connectivity. How do you think, how can people monetize off of this? What should we be developing to assist, but also make money off of the Web 3.0?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people trying to figure this out, and it's not very trivial because the models that worked in Web 2.0, they just don't work anymore in the future. And this is very interesting because one of the challenges that also we had, blockchain is not something where a company can develop blockchain, can put a label on it, and can start charging. And this is the shift, the paradigm shift that has to happen actually, right? So we first need to provide the infrastructure that it's commonly shared. It should be open source because basically, nobody would team up on a blockchain that is being produced by one company.
No.
This is clear. And so we also see that the blockchain as a service models also do not work because what is the sense in blockchain that is hosted in a cloud instance? So I do believe that we need to first invest into the infrastructure, and that's why we actually use the term ecostructures, because I think it's much more than ecosystem, right? We need to provide the machinery, we need to provide the decentralized internet first, and then we can create on top different new use cases, as also was described by Pixby, and monetize new ways and new interactions between machines and humans.
And Sergei, in your case as well, like you work with a lot of projects on the blockchain. Do you see one that you think could have an impact in Web 3.0? How do you guys work alongside such projects?
If we discuss about first question about Web 2.0, I think it's a paradigm which based on generation content by users, and very important things to addition, it's centralized because if we're moving to the Web 3.0, I think the internet or the market will be decentralizing,
yeah.
And very important that now website usually keep all information in one website, but in the near future, a lot of websites will located on the world, and hacker attack can be not effective than earlier. And if we discuss about us, yes, we do listing, we are the largest in the market. Also, we invest money. One part, of course, we help with exchange, and another part we help with money to project. And of course, we have got good stories. We have got become successful cases, successful project which develop blockchain industry, and this project sometimes use Web 3.0. Some projects will want to use Web 3.0. I think we don't help directly. Yeah.
Okay. To wrap it up, because we're being rushed a bit and obviously we're short on time, so we can maybe ask further questions to the guys outside. But I think the summary of the matter is here that we're all somehow using Web 3.0 through artificial intelligence and machine learning, but if you want to really get involved in it, start powering the infrastructure so you can actually monetize. And I think Daniele is already working on something like that.
Yeah, you mentioned before the
just very short,
browser, but what I'm focusing more is the Eagle engine. That is a sort is a protocol challenging project. Today we have the HTTP and HTTPS protocol where people can navigate actually. In the near future, we can have several protocols that are decentralized, like blockchain protocols.
Interoperable.
Yes, so the real challenge, because you asked it before, the real challenge is the blockchain interoperability. In the near future, we will have an URL that will not be only HTTPS dash and the address, but can be ATH or can be AOS dash and the address of the DAP.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the future of the Web3, the decentralization in the protocol itself, and it's not that far because there are several examples that are starting in this direction. I am working actively with many blockchain team like iOS development team, Beacon Cash development team, Rootstock, and Dash, other. And almost Aeon as well, and almost all of them agree to find, to convert in this direction.
Okay.
So this is a process that has already started and is ongoing. So we will assist probably in the next few months to the born of a Web3, let's say, prototocol itself.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. If any questions, thank you for attending. No, that's fine. Understandable.
Right. Everybody's looking great, don't worry about it. Change to your running order because one of our panelists has to jump on a plane very soon, so we're actually in our original slot. And this is the discussion looking at consumer demands and web traffic in the blockchain and crypto era. So I'm Maya Middlemiss, I'm the CEO of BlockSparks. I'm a storyteller, I'm a writer and podcaster, so I'm really pleased to be chairing this discussion, which has got some of the best stories in the room, I think. We've got a really fascinating and diverse panel to address this important question about consumer traffic, and from three really different industries and backgrounds that will help us consider the idea of consumers in completely different ways. So the only thing we've got in common is that everybody needs consumers, everybody needs customers, or all B2C, but really couldn't be any different. So Tiffany Brown brings a background in politics, public service, academia, and consulting, and is now launching her own line of women's clothing, Tiffany Brown Designs, which will be exclusively taking crypto and is being modeled for you today. We're also joined by Vaibhav Kadikar, who represents close cross derivatives trading. And yesterday, Vaibhav challenged us with a keynote to make us think about making our users and customers happy, as well as giving them the services they need. And Sebastien Borget is from a decentralized gaming platform, The Sandbox, where the consumers are actually creators, generating NFT collectibles and participating fully in the value creation chain. So really couldn't be more different. And I'd like to invite each of the panel to first introduce themselves more fully, and start by telling us who their consumers are. What does a consumer look like and mean to you? Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Brown. My business is Tiffany Brown Designs. We've been around. We're a a little bit non-traditional for this group. We've been around almost 11 years. We have now primarily our business clients were, we did business to business. So that means that we didn't directly work with consumers, but we've decided to move into the consumer realm. And because we're going into the consumer realm, we decided to kind of veer more into cryptocurrency. So currently, our new collection will only be exclusively taking Bitcoin and Ether. So we're really excited about that. We also are doing a private blockchain that will give us the capability to authenticate through our system. Because one of the things that's super difficult for some of the ladies that are here is this new phenomenon called fast fashion, where indie designers, you don't get collections anymore. You get one jacket, you get one shirt. It takes 2 weeks. The Fashion Novas, the H&Ms. It's really difficult for us to kind of compete with that. So we're going into the more of the luxury brand, and you want to make sure it's real. You want to make sure it's authenticated. There's a lot of good fakes out there, particularly in Europe. I noticed that the US not so much. So we want to make sure everything's real.
Yeah, thank you. Radhika?
Right. Hi, I'm Vaibhav Kadikar. I'm the CEO of Close Cross. We do decentralized derivatives, essentially a different take on the financial derivatives market, where you do not have any centralized parties whatsoever. It's directly a people-to-people market. I'm not going to go into a lot more detail about what we do here, otherwise it's going to take a long time. But consumer for us is anybody who's essentially in the space of saying, I want to make money out of predicting the price of underlying assets in the future. Right? And you can do it in many different ways. You can go to Goldman Sachs and buy a derivatives contract, or you can go somewhere else and set up a prediction market. And we have a completely different take where we just do a collective prediction market format. So for us, the consumer is anybody who wants to make money by predicting the price of any underlying asset, not just crypto, in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Sebastien Borget. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Pixel. It's a game company which exists since 2011 and has been acquired last year by Animoca Brands. I've been in the gaming space for 9 years, close to 9 years now, and we have launched since 2012 our own franchise, which is called the Sandbox. It's a user-generated content game where essentially players and gamers can make their own world level and share them online for other players to play. Since last year, we took this franchise, which has over 40 million players to date, to a new version that will be 3D multiplayer and involve the blockchain to empower the creators and the players to be able to monetize their time and their creation using the blockchain technology supported by our own cryptocurrency called Sand. So we are tokenizing the game content, like game items, turning them into non-fungible tokens. I don't know how many of you in the audience are familiar with non-fungible tokens. See a few. So essentially, ERC, it's supported by ERC 721 protocol. Maybe you've heard about CryptoKitties, which was mainly the first game that brought them to light. Those are a category of tokens that are unique, not untouchable, and not dividable. So they are helping to carry value from the creators by having those specific characteristics that makes them unique versus the others, and we're leveraging it to our platform for decentralization.
Brilliant, and thank you for that explanation. What non-fungible tokens are. So we all need traffic to our different sites, and unless we're going to attract a gaming, very fashionably dressed person with an eye to futures insights, we probably need different traffic. So in our respective industries then, how can we attract the right people and also incentivize people fairly and ethically in a blockchain world? Where does your traffic come from? Who'd like to jump in first? Sebastien?
I can jump in first. So first and foremost, in the gaming industry, it's a $100 billion industry which has been growing bigger and bigger and still is growing every year. Coming from free-to-play, we're seeing that most of the players there are monetizing. Only 2% to 3% are monetizing, and it generates this huge market. So using the non-fungible tokens and this idea of giving true digital ownership for the creations, we are expecting to grow that market. On the other side, as I was mentioning, we are a user-generated content platform where players and creators can make and monetize their creation. And UGC market is huge as well. We are talking like 500 million people between those social platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and creators. But more specifically, in the gaming space, you're probably familiar with Minecraft, at least, maybe Roblox. Those are gaming platforms that have been there for over 10 years and have over 90 million monthly active players. So that is a huge existing market that we can tap into as well as our existing player base of 40 million and a million monthly active player. And all together, we're able to convert using traditional online marketing these players to our platform, offering them something new thanks to blockchain, which is earning cryptocurrency for their devotion and engagement.
So,
Vaibhav, do you wish that you had a market like that to tap into for derivatives?
Well, you know what? I mean, I was just thinking the way he answered it, so I'm going to say that it's slightly different, right? So, the predictions market industry or the financial derivatives industry is worth 1,200 trillion a year in notional value, right? So it's by far the largest market on earth. But the participation is very, very exclusive, which means that it's not as widespread as his industry. And so my answer actually leads into it by saying, so what are we doing to actually make sure that the consumers can access to it? So every time I tell them, look, it's the world's largest market, but only about 1 to 2% of the people have access to this market for various different reasons. It's too complicated for people to understand. So how can you simplify it? Yeah. There are lots of hurdles in terms of, oh my God, if I take 100x leverage and if I get burned, I'm never going to enter this market again. So how do you solve for those kind of issues? So this is how I think we need to incentivize the users in terms of, first of all, creating a product that actually solves their pain points. And that should be the true incentive for getting the consumers in. It shouldn't be about a marketing campaign at first. Yes, of course you need to tell your story, but the point is to give them something which is extremely valuable and they did not have before. And this is also what we are trying to do in terms of attracting the consumers and the customers to the derivatives market. So we are about opening up the access in a regulated and compliant manner by actually solving the pain points like complexity, the ease of access, the cost of trading, as well as, of course, solving mathematically for problems like leverage.
Excellent. Well, I love the way that this panel has sat in order of exclusivity from the mass gaming to prediction market and to exclusive fashion.
So one of the things that's really important about fashion is brand loyalty. For women, I do women's clothing. We're very particular about our brands. We're cults, we're fanatical. So for me, it's about education of the brand, marketing, social media, hitting the ground running, having conversations with people online, because you can just pop up in the weirdest of places. So for us, it's really about just educating people about the brand and the quality of clothing, because quality is very important for women, and particularly with fashion, because you can wear something really cute, but if it's going to disintegrate in 2 days, it's not really that great.
Yeah, you get what you pay for, I'm sure. But that's what our consumers want as well. So what is a consumer worth to everybody here? What is that click worth? And what's the balance between that immediate click onto your platform and the long-term value of that customer? Who'd like to jump in on that?
I'll go first this
Go
time.
for it.
So, and you can take the last one first. Okay. Just so we are fair, right? So let me say it this way. I think for me, I always try to tell the story of the difference between a consumer and a customer, right? The point is, in English, you have a saying, do you have this person's custom? That is a whole different way of looking at somebody, because a consumer is that somebody who's consuming it once, for example, and probably not going to return. But a customer is somebody who gives you a continued custom. And this is what we need to focus on. So it's not about consumer trends, but how do you really create a long-term relationship by providing them something so useful that you keep receiving their custom in the long term, right? So yes, the long-term value of that custom is very important for us to calculate, and it all starts by giving them a product that is useful. And for us, it's not about the click that it's worth, but of course in financial trading, it's very objectively measurable, right? So for us, it's not about how many repeat purchases they're making and so on and so forth, but it's just about the annual trading volume they would do. And that would determine for us the value. So we couldn't put a price on what we would give to get that user. Of course, there are mathematical and statistical models out there. They will say anything between $100 and $300 per customer. That's your cost of acquisition. But of course, the long-term value will depend on us because we need to generate that with the people. So the onus is on us.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Is that the same in gaming, Sebastien?
Well, it depends, but in the specificity of our user-generated content platform, we have two categories of users. On one side, we have content creators who are going to join on the platform and start uploading their creation for selling them on our marketplace. And so we don't make directly, there's no LTV for us associated because there's no direct revenue coming from them, but still they are providing the content and they are monetizing, and they can sometimes even become the prescriptors to our platform, helping us to acquire a new type of users. So in this case, the value is indirect since it still produces overall value, and this the content, the creation they are making can be resold, but the revenue specifically because we are on the blockchain goes entirely to the creator. 100% of the revenue goes to the creator, and this is the main disruption versus our existing competitors. Minecraft, Roblox, we are not using the blockchain. We only earn a transaction fee, about 5%, on well, the sales they are making on the marketplace. On the other side, we have actual players who are going to buy our sand currency, and we do have a token economy behind related to this cryptocurrency. And here it's going back to more traditional way of measuring metrics and the LTV, and indeed we could assign an LTV to a user after he goes through a funnel that starts by coming to our website, signing up either by email or using this crypto wallet, and make a purchase overall or repeated purchase over his time on the platform.
Okay, that's, and fashion, I hope you're aiming for long-term loyalty, presumably.
Yes. A click is really just a new relationship, an opportunity to build a new relationship with a new customer.
Okay, that's great. Now, have a couple more minutes. No, okay. We're really hoping to touch on some of the ethical issues about the way that data and customers acquire, but I really like the way that the panel have all addressed those issues as part of their other answers. Does anyone want to jump in very, very quickly on the ethics of traffic and data?
For me, it's really important where you get your traffic from, because there's a lot of sale of data that you can get that's really not the best place to get it from, and it also leads to dead end. So you want to make sure you get your traffic from a reputable company. And then also for me, it's more organic because it's usually customers we already have in our boutiques that are in Europe. So we kind of have a leg up on the consumer side.
Brilliant. Well, that was so quick. I'm thinking everybody else can jump in at that speed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for us, it's really, you have to define that by the go-to-market, right? So if you're going directly to the customer, then absolutely it's great to do this. For us, our go-to-market is also together with partners such as exchanges which are out there who want to offer something extra or different to their actual user base so that they can differentiate themselves. So for us, it's a rather easier way, so to say, to be ethical in this front, because those guys are already who are, KYC, AML, are existing users of the other exchanges. So this is just something which will be given to them on a revenue share basis. So for us, yes, we are absolutely going to be
brilliant. And any last words, Sebastien, on ethical data?
I just maybe want to point that the overall crypto gaming community size is roughly 20,000 monthly users right now. So to the question of how we convert those users and if it is ethical or not, I cannot be answered, but I can say that we are doing our best as well to enlarge the market overall, because it's really very tiny in comparison to the overall gaming industry or probably even your respective markets. And we put a lot of passion and energy to explain the blockchain technology to the user, their main benefits, and why the existing systems are actually unethical. Because in gaming, you can buy content with virtual currency, but this is not really yours. Like you buy coins, you buy items, but you can lose them when you leave the game. You cannot really take them out and start selling them anywhere else. So I think we're ethical because the other games and all the free-to-play economy is essentially unethical to the users.
Excellent. That's a perfect place to end. Thanks very much to the panel. It's been a really interesting discussion.
Hello. Hello, hi everybody. Today we're talking about personal branding and growth hacking, which is really, really important, especially in a business like this one, where the personal branding is almost everything. I'm Giacomo Arcaro, I'm CEO, co-founder of Black Marketing Guru. We are one of the biggest European growth hacking company in Italy, and this is our headquarters. In a church in Rimini, in a small city in front of the sea. Why we selected the church? Well, because we are kind of crazy in Italy, and the Bible was the most, the best-selling book in the world. So that's why we decided to place our marketing company inside it. But let me tell you about something more about the personal branding. What's the personal branding and why it is important, especially in this period of time. So, this is the best man in history. If anyone doesn't know him, please go home. Anyway, okay. Okay, so the personal branding is so important that Elon Musk can change plus 10% or minus 10% in the New York Stock Exchange of Tesla and the other companies, because he's really influent. And when we talk about Tesla, we talk about Elon Musk. When we talk about SpaceX, we talk about Elon Musk, because he's got the vision, he's a real personal brand manager. And when we talk about Apple, we talk about Steve Jobs. So this is really important. And when an investor will invest in an ICO, STO, or startup, they will invest firstly in the team. And if back in 2000 with dot-com bubble, they will invest in the idea and will met the team directly. Nowadays, the investors will search you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on maybe Facebook, on Twitter. So that's why it's really important, the personal branding. Let's start by the end. The personal branding becomes when you are featured by the biggest journal, the biggest blog, and the biggest magazine. So Forbes nominated me one of the biggest European growth hackers, and one of the top crypto finance world advisor, which is not true, but if they say this, it must be true. So by having those kind of awards, and it's not me that's saying you on LinkedIn, the best investor in the world, the best startupper, but it's Forbes and Wired that tell you that I am this. So in just a small period of time, I've raised for ICO and STO $18.4 million. This is a trackico.com data. The more, I collected 1.7 million subscribers. And this is just in 12 months. So how did I do this? Okay. Personal branding is really, it's really hard to apply, but can change really the way your startup and your business will go. So if you convince the airport director to visit a jet and you take a photo, everyone will think that you are an international speaker and you can ask $5,000 for a 10-minute speech. So this is what happened. So I started by having conferences all over the world. Actually, I have one speech every 2 to 3 days all over the world, talking about personal branding and marketing. And yes, I've been passionate about blockchain because I really love this world. I think this is the most disruptive things that could have happened to my generation. So I created all the things, I put all the things in place to be like a star. And I have received a lot of followers, a lot of customers. We are one of the group with that received the more leads in this world. And this is thanks for the personal branding. Obviously, you should have a background. Otherwise, you will be like crazy to do what I did two months ago, because in Jordania, the government saw that I was one of the top 10 crypto fintech advisors, inviting me for the opening ceremony to have a speech in front of the government. And I don't know what to tell them, but I was lucky because everyone was happy, and it's been really huge. So I would say that I have opened the ceremony of the Jordan Economic Forum together with the government by knowing nothing about Jordan, knowing nothing about finance, knowing nothing about economic. And I hope they will not see this video, so otherwise, the next year they will not invite me. Okay. How is it possible? Let me give you a few tips. I don't want to show off here. I would just want to help you to increase your popularity, your personal branding in order to attract money and investors and customers. So let me tell you that you have to use three things. LinkedIn, plus a little bit of growth hacking. You have to use Gmail with the most spammy tools in the world, which is Gmail, which is a Google Chrome add-on, free, and of course growth hacking. So for LinkedIn, first of all, you need to have followers. I've got like 250,000 followers, really highly targeted, and I've done this thanks to software we have built that can attract you 1,000 to 5,000 users per week, all targeted. So the second thing is the content. You need to create content. You need to share the content. Share the content your followers will love to watch, to see, because you're using their time. You're using, you are getting inside the mobile phone of your followers, and you have to create contents that really worth the time you give them. And the third thing, which is most important for us, that we are spammy guys, is the email, because with LinkedIn, things has changed a little bit, but it's still possible to download all the email of your followers, and then you put the email into Gmail and Google Maps, and you spam. So I just got barely 400 appointments in these 2 days of booking on my Calendly, thanks to this methodology. But you can use the email, not just sending, hey, this is my startup, hey, this is Giacomo, I would like to know that I'm the best. No, you have to use Gmail for digital PR, and I will show you a little bit more about digital PR, for newsletter with catchy titles and catchy contents, and events. You have to spam to be present on events, because once you will be on stage at an event, you will be considered like, I mean, a star, especially in your country if you have a speech abroad. So let me give you one tip. So we have an example here, which is Eloisa Marchesoni. I told her like 6 months ago, try to use this method, and what happened? 40,000 users joining your as a follower. It's finished the time. 5 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, so micropropaganda, hype, and buzz. How to create news to be noticed by Forbes and all the other journals, which is journalist takes $3 per article. So TV and news has a journalist that takes a really cheap salary. So TV and news just watch what the big blogs write and repost, but the blogs will repost what the medium blogs write, and the small blogs will repost what the medium blogs. So you have to be on time with the small blogs, give them the articles, and you can be the best the best seller on Amazon with a book. Let me show you, okay, this is a video, but we have no time, so just tell you what I did. So I created this book, and I created a fake video where the people that received the book at home just found the money inside it. So everyone is starting by buying the book, hoping to find the money inside the book. I push my LinkedIn followers, I push with Gmail and Gmass, I have 150,000 views, and surprise, surprise, I became the #1 on Amazon bestseller in economy, on top of Elon Musk, Robert Pizzaldini, and other monsters. But this is not the point, because I was so happy to be the bestseller. But guys, okay, Prime, the last slide. I haven't written it nor read it. Why? Because I bought from Fever, from a Nigerian guy that wrote the book for me. But the last sentence, what is this about? Nowadays, the most important thing is how you communicate things, not the content. Thank you. Okay.
Give him what? Do I have to use my own? I don't actually understand what you're asking me. Oh, okay. Hi, thanks for sticking around while they're setting up and I can't move this thing around. I'll introduce myself. I'm Katie Tedman. I'm the head of partnerships and marketing for a company called Dapper Labs, which you may know by our first game, which is called CryptoKitties. We've also launched a game this weekend called Cheese Wizards, and we also have a smart contract wallet that launched 2 weeks ago, so lots of activity recently. Who in the room is aware of CryptoKitties? No, there we go, we have one. Only a couple? Okay, well I wrote this slide deck assuming everybody was gonna know what CryptoKitties was, so we'll work with it. So again, CryptoKitties, that's what we're best known for, but really we are a blockchain studio. We do all sorts of consumer-facing blockchain projects. Our whole goal is to bring average consumers to blockchain technology, and we think the way to do that is through gaming and consumer experiences. CryptoKitties, I'm glad I put this slide in, is a game where you buy and breed kitties. They're unique pieces of art. The game has been around since December 2017. We were basically the first game to launch in the space and have had continued success. It's fun because it's a puzzle game. So you have two kitties, you breed them together, and the third kitty that results may be a mix of the two kitties that you bred, or it may be something that's special and different and unique. So people come into the ecosystem, breed kitties, buy them, sell them. A kitty can go from anywhere from 180,000 US dollars to $1 US. But what people really love about it is they love the puzzles, they love the community, and they love the true ownership of those assets. They own the kitties. If our company goes away, they still own their assets. This is a big deal because we've run a lot of money through this ecosystem. We not only were the proof point for the market, but we've had some tremendous financial success. Data's wrong over here, but as of May this year, we have 1.5 million kitties that are in the ecosystem, and that's largely through consumers playing the game, breeding the kitties, and creating them themselves. 130 kitties have sold for over 10,000 US dollars. So again, this is not play money, this is real money that people are engaging with this platform. And we had our highest sale kitty go for 140,000 US dollars at charity auction by Christie's in New York. So why do people care about kitties, or why should they care about NFTs, which if you listen to Sebastien on the panel, he talked a little about non-fungible tokens, which are unique digital assets. a Bitcoin can be traded for any other Bitcoin. They have exactly the same value. They're completely fungible. Kitties are non-fungible. They're not a currency. They're a token in which has unique properties. And so people care about those because they have intrinsic and extrinsic value. And you need both of these things to create an interesting consumer experience. This is a quote in the New York Times around that kitty that was sold for 140,000 US dollars. And the person who bought it said that he was excited about the philanthropic nature of the auction, but also he was really excited about the art of the kitty and the provenance of it, and the fact that it was showcased in Christie's next to a Basquiat. So there are kind of all of these things that created an intrinsic value that he cared about that thing. I have a cat that I bought for $5 US, and it's a tiger cat, and I really like it because it looked like the cat that I grew up with. So this intrinsic value is something that creates a value proposition to users, but also there needs to be an extrinsic value. So for some people that's going to be speculation, but for a lot of people that's going to be this active gameplay. So live operation, this should be not surprising to anybody who's even touched gaming in the past, but live operations and event-based engagement makes up an enormous amount of our revenue. It represents less than 30% of the days of the month, where we make 60% of our revenue. And what you see is that on days that we do live activations, there's a huge spike in participation, there's a huge spike in interest, and that has carried us in a little bit of a sustained growth. The growth of the blockchain gaming industry is still very nascent, so you see here that we're not hard up and to the right, but we're edging up and to the right, and all of the activities that we're working on are trying to promote that as well. And we think the basis of that is to create these compelling experiences. And then we try to layer on other things that add value to a user experience and things that the blockchain really enables. Some of this is a good example. We added who the kitty was hatched by. So this might be something that is interesting to you as a player if somebody who's a friend of yours has hatched this kitty and might have more intrinsic value to you. It also might be something that was hatched by LeBron James or Harry Kane or Kim Kardashian, or I don't know who you guys care about, Vitalik, whoever. So it's an interesting way to add intrinsic value where this thing doesn't actually have any more value within the gameplay, but so far as an asset that somebody might care about, it kind of ratchets up what they're interested in. But ultimately, 51% of our potential players drop out. And that is an enormous problem for us. It's an enormous problem for the entire blockchain gaming industry. They come into our ecosystem, they're excited about it, they hit MetaMask, and they drop. So part of what we're trying to do is create tools that stop attrition, and this will allow us to grow the pie. So we launched the Dapper wallet just a couple weeks ago. The idea of launching that wallet was not to just take other wallets on head-to-head, and I don't know if anyone is a blockchain gamer in the room, but in the same way that to hold ERC20 tokens or to hold Bitcoins and you need call it a Coinbase wallet or another kind of wallet, you need a wallet to hold your ERC721 tokens. So we've built a wallet that can hold ERC20 tokens, but also can hold non-fungible assets. The idea here is that the wallet has been built as a smart contract, so it can be completely decentralized, but a user has choice in it. And in the same way that we tried to build a compelling experience with CryptoKitties as a game, we're trying to build a compelling experience with the wallet. If you come in and you want us to co-sign and you want us to be able to do password recovery and you want to have a little bit of a safe space, you can do that with this wallet. You also can remove us as a co-signer and then take it from there. Let's skip that one. So other things that we're looking at when you consider how to build compelling consumer experiences is what do they like to do? So we've surveyed what we call crypto enthusiasts or crypto adjacent and crypto holders extensively through third-party surveying tools. And what we found is that 68% like strategy games. So it's a good thing that we built a strategy game for our first one. But 72% really like action and adventure games, and that was an area that we hadn't considered yet. So we got together as a team, looked at what action adventure games were out there, talked about what pieces were made better by blockchain technology, and we came up with Cheese Wizards. So this is a game that launched last weekend. We're in our last day of our pre-sale. It is a battle royale game, which people responded really well to liking in our surveys. Basically, you go and you buy a Cheese Wizard, which is both a collectible, so it's an NFT collectible, but then also a game piece, so marrying that intrinsic and extrinsic piece. And the money you paid for the Cheese Wizard goes into a pot that one person will win. So we've sold 3,800 Cheese Wizards now, I think. Those wizards will battle in a tournament. One of them will come out on top. And right now the pot is in the 540 ETH range. So like 130, 140 thousand US dollars. So people are coming in, buying NFTs, they're interested in the space, but then they also have a chance to participate in the upside of it. Another example of kind of creating something that people said they were interested, but anchoring it in blockchain. And then this is the last thing I'll show you guys. As with trying to explore the space, which is, again, extremely nascent, we're trying fashion. So this is the world's first piece of digital couture on blockchain. It's an NFT. It was purchased at auction in New York, again, in partnership with the Ethereal Summit. And what we're kind of trying to figure out here is, for a user, what is interesting to them? If you think about fashion, scarcity, like the rarity of an item, the cost of an item, all of those things kind of bundled together are interesting to consumers. So how do we bring that to the blockchain space where you can do that in a totally digital way? I hope some of that made sense. I think I'm ahead of time if anybody has any questions about what we're doing or why we're doing it or why blockchain gaming. How do you buy a wizard? You go to cheesewizards.com, spelled with a Z in cheese, and you could either buy a neutral wizard, which is pegged at, I think, around 20 US dollars, or you could buy an elemental wizard, which I think are up over an ETH. I'm going to hang out right outside the door, so if anyone is befuddled by this or is interested in this, I'm super happy to chat about it.
Okay.
Should we start? So, good afternoon, everyone. For this panel discussion, we'll be discussing gamification and engagement in affiliate marketing. And over here on board, we've got Benjamin Boyle, Ray Davies, and Franco Bondi. So, shall we start off with some introductions and you tell us what you're involved in?
Sure, I can give you a bit about my background. So I've worked in C-level positions for both exchanges and in the iGaming industry, so I'm a little bit unusual because I understand both the kind of financial trading platforms and iGaming. So at the moment I'm kind of relaxing, but I'm just taking on a new directorship role at a cryptocurrency and AI consultancy and advisory company. So I've worked a bit in AI also. I was a CEO or an interim CEO of an award-winning AI company. Worked in the cryptocurrency space as well, so I've done a few things.
Super. Ray.
I'm Ray, Chief Operating Officer for Quanta Technology. Quanta Technology is a lottery-based blockchain technology company. We launched in the Isle of Man on the 15th of January this year. We're licensed by the Gambling Supervision Commission in the Isle of Man, so we're a lottery operator. The soft launch was for 3 months because the technology is so new that we wanted to make sure that we got all the technology working correctly but before we did a global rollout. I'm pleased to say that the technology performed faultlessly. Really pleased. We had a couple of issues that we've had to deal with. The players that come onto our platform wouldn't have noticed any issues that we've had at all. And so now we're in a position that we're ready to go global. We've opened up a couple of our new markets. What we have to do is really understand the legality of the market at this stage. So where we've got a black market, such as Singapore or America, we wouldn't go anywhere near. But where we've got a market where there's a license in place, for instance, in the UK, then we would have to consider whether we need that license. And any other market that doesn't have a license requirement or is not black, then we're looking at entering over the course of the next midterm, really. So that's what we are.
Franco?
Hi, I'm Franco, Bondi, and I used to define myself a little bit old serial startupper. I've done 8 startups in my life with 3 exits, and I'm now running my last idea. That is a registration management platform for events that is already in the market since 2015. And we are implementing now a new blockchain ticketing platform that will be integrated in our existing platform that will transform the ticket that is a QR code today in a ERC21 token managed by a smart contract that has inside all the rules that the organizer will decide for the event. And this, we think, will fix all the problems that the ticket industry has, that is fraud, scalping, personal identification, and so on.
Great. So I'm Denise Gaetano. I've been a data scientist for almost 12 years. I'm a founder of a number of startups as well, one of them being Stragemic, which is an affiliate marketing service over the blockchain platform, and also utilizing gamification. So, my first question would be, in view of any specific use cases involving gamification in affiliate marketing. Would you like to start off, Benjamin?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think there's 2 real avenues for this. The first is education, and the second is retention. So when it comes to gamification, that's the whole point of it, is to, 1, make it more enjoyable, but 2, to actually get the information into your brain in a better manner, because Absolutely. The brain works in quite an unusual, well, not unusual anymore, because we understand it a little bit more than we did a couple of years ago, but it can work in an unusual manner. And when you apply gamification to things such as education, it really does, neuroplasticity takes over in the brain, and the gamification process actually stimulates these synaptic nerves, these synapses to actually build stronger, so that you actually form a much stronger relationship with the education that you've brought in. And then on the second side, obviously retention. If you're enjoying it a little bit more, you're going to get that serotonin hit into your brain. Again, that's going to help you build up those synaptic nerves, and then you're going to want to come back. So,
great.
That's my opinion.
And yourself, Ray?
Yeah, kind of the same, really, but mine's more of a real-life experience, because my son's 7.5 years old, and he absolutely adores playing on games. And so I've seen the way that gamification, the icons, the rewards, the encouragement, the enthusiasm that he expresses towards the games. He comes home from school, and all he wants to do is play football or get on the iPad and play on the games. And we have to sort of model him to say, right, okay, we can have some fun with the iPad, but also we've got to get onto the education. We've got to read our books at night. We've got to do our maths and our English and those sorts of things. And it's a way of, I've seen how by adding rewards and benefits and bonuses and those sorts of things from the game play that he enjoys into his learning, it's actually benefiting him. He really does, which is a lot of what you just said, but without using the long words. Yeah. It's a real life experience. And obviously, from Qantas' point of view, as I mentioned, we're looking at we're entering global markets now. And so what we have to do is we've got to think, how are we going to get our customers coming to us? Some of those markets we're not being able to advertise in. We've got to look at models. So we think most of our business is going to come from the affiliate market. And so rather than just sort of jumping straight into, right, what's the typical affiliate model, and let's agree with that, I'm really interested in looking at how the gamification is now being applied to the affiliate market, so we can say, right, okay, how can we motivate our affiliates? In what ways? What are they familiar with that's going to give us the results that we want as well as they want? So that's where we are at the moment. But yeah, my son's a classic example.
Great. So following on what you've just said, Ray, what do you view as the future of gamification in customer engagement?
Well, looking at e-commerce in particular, perhaps, the amount of work that's being done in gamification in education at the moment is quite astounding. And it's been proven that kids do respond very much to that role. So we've got a whole future of future consumers that are growing up with gamification in their daily lives. So it seems to make sense to me that if you're going to be looking at doing some future e-commerce activity, then you would take those lessons that they're learning, and these kids are learning on a day-by-day basis, and bring that into the e-commerce market for them to purchase in the future. So providing them with that education, with the rewards, with those little tokens, with those little messages, they will respond to it, and that's how I think the e-commerce in the future is going to be. I recently bought a Fitbit. I'm not wearing it because my son's stolen it from me. But the Fitbit itself, I was just really amazed how quickly I got into additional fitness just by getting the text messages on my phone, or I only need to do another 250 steps to hit my 8,000 for the day, or whatever it is. And I was just enthralled by it in the immediate sense. And my son just absolutely loves playing it as well. And so I can see how it works on the e-commerce basis. Yeah, I see no reason why that will not be the way of the future for e-commerce.
Great. So, Franco, what strategies do you use to entice customers in view of your product event boost?
Okay. First of all, I say that when you sell a product that is software as a service, it's very important to define what kind of product you are selling. I'm saying that you can define the software as a service products in a matrix where you can put the price in a line and the complexity of the platform in another line. And so you have 4 quadrants that you have to consider. The first one on the low is self-service products. For example, email. That is a very low price and very low complexity. You go online, you sign in, and you take the email. Mm-hmm. No problem to take it. And for that kind of a product, you used to spend money on advertising, drive traffic, lots of traffic inside the website without problem if it is a targeted traffic. It's an email, it's very simple, everybody needs it. Then you have the upper quadrant that is high price and high complexity, and that quadrant is the typical enterprise software. And that is a very long sales process made by sales representative, partner doing demo and whatever. In the middle, there is the transactional business model, that is our business model, that is a medium price and a medium complexity. And for this kind of business, we think definitely that one of the most important strategy is to use a free trial, referral, and affiliation. Free trial means that you offer a free trial of your platform, but together you have to work with artificial intelligence, marketing automation, and a little bit of onboarding made by inside sales representative that will work during the trial to be sure that the trial will be the most effective one, because not all the trials are a successful one, and you have to drive this too. Then affiliation marketing for sure is one of the important tool for this kind of product. But we have to pay attention because the quality of the affiliation is really a key in this kind of market. Because if you have an affiliation that is not a quality one, the image of your product will go down, and the closing ratio go down dramatically. Obviously, all the other tools that we use are the typical tools that everybody uses, SEO, on page, off page, driven by the affiliation, and so on. But about gamification, we are now trying, in the next 2 months, to add a sort of small gamification inside the AI that we manage after the free trial. So the artificial intelligence that we use to connect with people will insert a little gamification that will be a surprise in the next month. We will see what happens.
Okay, very interesting. So to close this discussion, I'd like to ask you, Benjamin, if you've had any critical learning points with experience in terms of engaging with affiliate marketing, which you could like to share.
Sure. The one thing with gamification and affiliate marketing is you have to make sure it's structured correctly. So gamification is quite a new term that's come out now, although it has kind of been in existence for a very, very long time without the term. And it's only really now that it's starting to really be modeled by some of the large kind of educational houses, like Harvard, for example, came out with a model for gamification. It's MDE model, it's mechanics. It's kind of like the lean methodology, for example. You do your mechanics, then you do your demographics, then you do your emotions, and then you use kind of lean methodology to continuously update it. So that's one thing which I think is going to be important in this space, is actually understanding how you test and update your gamification process. And you can use things such as AI to do this as well. So if you're putting a CNN network, for example, a type of neural network onto some of the data you're collecting from your gamification process, you're going to be able to see a lot better how your users or your affiliates are actually engaging and are upskilling, and then getting in the customers or clients or whatever you want to call your final user base. And then the other aspect as well is we have to understand the power of this new, I'm going to call it technology, because a mindset is still a technology at the same time. This new technology can have. So we have to make sure that we approach it ethically and we're not manipulating. So I think that's going to be a very, very important part of what happens here, is actually understanding the ethical landscape, because we talk about things such as, we talk about grey markets in gaming, for example, but AI itself is an entirely grey market almost globally, and apart from very, very few jurisdictions which are looking into it as well. But the study of the mind is also a grey market in some sense. Obviously, we ban certain advertisements such as cigarettes in most countries, but we have to understand that gamification itself can be a very, very powerful tool which can be used to manipulate people to stay. And there's things such as multi-level marketing, for example, which it has almost used gamification in the past to manipulate people, and we need to understand that that's not our purpose here. It's to try and upskill and increase retention and actually assist as opposed to manipulate it. It's not all about making money. It's about, in affiliate marketing, it's about educating these affiliates to be better at what they're doing, and then also improving their experience on the platform as opposed to just trying to make more money. And I think that's really the important thing to consider.
Great. Okay, our time is up, so I thank you for your contribution. And of course, if you've got any questions, please ask us after this panel. Thank you very much.